So today we're here with Knolly Williams, the business healer, and he is actually my sponsor in eXp Realty. And we just wanted to go over a couple of things, find out a little bit about his real estate journey, and give you guys some information about him. I'm interviewing different business partners over the next month or two, and he has graciously given me a few minutes of his time. And so I just want to interview him today. So welcome, Knolly.
Well, hey, I'm happy to be here, Carol. And well, I'm usually on the other side of this. I'm usually the host.
Yeah.
So we'll figure this out. But yeah, well,
yeah.
Thank you so much. And Happy New Year.
Yep. So tell us a little bit. I know you've got a pretty you've got 20 plus years in real estate. Tell us a little bit about your real estate journey, where you started, and just give us that information first.
So yeah, I got 20 almost 20 years, not quite. It'll be 20 years this year, actually. Got 40 years as an entrepreneur, believe it or not. But
wow.
My journey in real estate came out of really desperation. I had a failed business. We had just lost everything, including our home and our just everything. My identity, my life, everything.
Wow.
Was wrapped up in this former company, this business, and it went bankrupt. And so I had to reinvent myself and say, okay, what's next? And I still remember I was 33 years old and I was driving out of we had 10 acres in right outside Austin in Round Rock, Texas. Okay. And we had a 6,000 square foot home and a big recording studio and an office building on the property. And it was just like a compound, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I kind of grew up there. I moved there when I was 26. I say grew up because, men don't mature supposedly till we're like 25. So yes. I got that house when I was 26 and I was there till 33. And, there was a lot of good memories, but I remember my last memory was kind of like, what am I going to do next? I don't even know what's next. And, but real estate came as a viable option. I had watched the guy working on selling our house. Okay. And to be quite honest with you, Carol, I looked at it like, man, this guy didn't do much of anything. Now that was my perspective, of course. We have clients. Yeah, we have clients that feel that way, but he was a listing guy. He worked on the seller side of the business. And I always talked to his assistant. I never talked to him. He put the sign in the yard and he got the job done. Wow. And I paid him $30,000 to do that. And I said, well, wait a minute, maybe I could do this. So I talked to his name was Jack McDonald. I talked to Jack. I said, man, do you think I could do this? And he was like, no, you could do it, and so on. And that's where it all kind of began. That was my foray. But I came into real estate with my tail tucked between my legs.
Okay. So how did you associate with your first brokerage? What did that look like? And go from there.
So the first brokerage, actually so we moved to a small South Texas town, Harlingen, Texas. And we moved from Austin. Now I'd been living in Austin since I was 18, loved Austin. But after I had a failed business, I didn't want to be in Austin anymore. And so I left town and ran away, is more like it. And I went to South Texas where my wife grew up. And I started real estate there. So I started with a small company called Prudential. And interestingly, I thought it was, I had a resume. I would go to all the real estate offices with my resume, and people were looking at me like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm here to interview as a realtor, and here's my resume. And it was like, what? You had a business for 10 years. You made I made my first $1 million when I was 29 years old.
Wow.
And so I didn't know that it was that easy to get in. I thought, I've got to be interviewed by so I went to like 5 or 6 different offices.
Okay.
And the last one I went to, they happened to be in. All the other brokers weren't even in the office. And so she was like, hey, well, we got a place for you right here, join us. So I went home. I left the house that morning, like, okay, I'm going to keep going until I find something. And I came back that evening, like, okay, I found it. And so I was there for 74 days.
Wow.
Okay. At that first office.
Okay.
just
So,
long enough to realize I could do better elsewhere.
okay. So what happened after the 74 days?
So I took 21 listings my first 74 days in the
Wow.
business.
And
I
talk a little
just
bit about how you did that, because I work with a lot of new agents. I'm a mentor in Colorado for our new agents here. Yeah. So talk about that just a little bit.
So I came out of the marketing background, and I teach agents,
Mm,
the skillionaires are the ones that become the millionaires. You
mm,
have to skill up. You got to get those skills. And one thing I didn't realize I had was the skills. I mean, I studied sales, I studied branding, I studied marketing for years
right.
and years and years and years. I studied. I would buy any marketing book I could find, any sales book, anything that would help me build my craft. And so what happened was when I got into the real estate game and I looked around, I was like, what are these people doing? They're not selling. See, all sales is, people think it's, oh, I don't do sales. What sales is finding out what people want and making it easy for them to get it.
Yep.
That's sales.
Okay.
Find out what people want, make it easy for them to get it. And I was a master at that. So what I did, and I was a marketing guy. So immediately, I came from the music industry. So immediately, I came up with my look. I came up with, well, actually, Josie came up with the hat and all that,
I love the
which
hat.
I had. Thank you. And I had been wearing the hat. This was my look in the music business, and
Okay.
I wanted to get rid of it. I was like, this is not going to work in real estate. I'm getting rid
Yeah.
of it. Josie was like, you're not getting rid of it. You're going to keep it. I said, no, it's out. She said, it's
She's a good
in.
woman. I love that.
Yeah. So I did a lot of marketing. I mean, I had so right from the beginning, I hit up our sphere of influence, what little I had, because I just moved to a new town.
Yep.
But I talked to her family. I talked to any of the friends that she had, which was a sphere of influence. I started with a farm. I knew I had read the books that said you got to have a farm. So I started with a huge farm, thousands of homes,
Okay.
which I didn't pay for, by the way. I had sponsors that paid the complete cost of the mailing out to those farms.
Wow.
And then I did, I figured out what my niche was going to be, which was expireds from the
Okay.
very beginning. I looked at different things, but I figured that was more suited to my personality. And so that's basically what I did in the beginning.
Wow.
Now I did a lot of things that I don't promote, but I did a lot of stuff. I mean, I had a little tiny ad in the back then it was called the bargain book is what they
Okay.
had, and it went to so many thousand homes.
Right.
And my message was always the same. Are you
Mm.
thinking about selling? Question mark. List with Knolly, exclamation point.
I love it.
Selling less time, get more money, free consultation.
That's
So,
great.
and obviously every agent had a free consultation, but nobody marketed that they did that. And so I put free consult. Oh, you have a free consultation? Sure, it's free,
Yeah.
So because any of my ads, I always try to use the word free in there. It's my favorite 4-letter word,
Okay.
And so that's basically what I did. I did my SOI. I started beginning and a farm and a niche right at the beginning, and nobody taught me. Basically, I went after anything and everything. If it was 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, it didn't matter. And I
Wow.
was cutting my teeth. Yeah.
I love that. That's great. So you took 70, what'd you say? 74 listings?
No, my first 74 days in the business, I took 21 listings.
You took 21 listings.
The way that
That's
I know
crazy.
is I've got that inventory sheet because when I left that company, great company, but the splits were like, I think my split to me was 45% to me.
Wow.
And so,
Wow.
it was not a good split. And so when I realized, wait a minute, I can actually do this business and I can go over there and get this other split. That's kind of what I ended up doing,
So where did you go after you left Prudential?
So we ended up moving back to Austin.
Okay.
And so it was the shortest term that I've ever owned a home. I closed on my house in December and put it up for sale in March the following year, and went back to Austin. And I started with Remax, which was the same company that sold my house,
Right. Okay.
Started with that. And they had some legendary producers at Remax. So it was very competitive. But, you know, in a short amount of time, I became one of the top 10 RE/MAX agents in Texas. And
Wow.
then by 2008, that year, my production was, I was #1 producer in Austin, Texas in 2008.
Wow.
Mind you, I started in the spring of 04. So it took me about 4 years to become #1 in the city out of 9,800 agents.
That is incredible.
Yeah, my production
Wow.
was Austin Business Journal put out the report every year, and I
Yeah.
ranked #1 as a solo agent, with 0
Wow.
licensed assistants.
Okay. So
And I
have you
did
ever
96
had a team
deals.
that you've worked with, or have you
Uh,
always just been a solo agent?
so I had the Knolly team. That was my logo.
Okay.
But I didn't really have a team until, but it was the Knolly team from the beginning. You
Okay.
know, it was a Knolly team. I mean, it was like, you know, everybody's got a team. Okay, Knolly team. Well, who's your
Yeah.
team? Well, you know, I got, you know,
It's all about the
we'll get to that.
marketing, right? It's
We'll
awesome.
introduce you to those people later, you know, but
Yeah.
how are you doing? And so, but until I think it was when did I start my team? I think it was in 09, maybe, when I basically said, you know what, I'm gonna actually go more into, like, I'm gonna let somebody else hold the reins, and I'm gonna kind of
Okay.
push them. That was in 09 that I did that.
Okay. And so how long were you with RE/MAX?
I was with RE/MAX for 5 years, and I loved
Okay.
it. Loved
Yep.
RE/MAX.
And you've done a lot of teaching just over that time, obviously being the #1 producer and having all these systems in place. Talk about that just a little bit.
So back then, so that was I started with RE/MAX in 04, and then I was there till the beginning of 09.
Okay.
And I didn't really teach, except that people would always be calling to pick my brain.
Yeah.
And I love talking to them about, well, how'd you do that? How'd you get that deal? Man, how'd you get this listing? What'd you do? And I would do stuff like, I could look at a listing and tell you all the stuff that the guy or the gal that had it did wrong. Like one listing I got, the guy thought I cheated. I mean, he had it on the market for like 6 months.
Wow.
No, he probably had about he had it 6 months because it expired. And then I sold in 11 days, you know?
Wow.
And the only thing that he did wrong, it was a bad mistake, but he had the worst pictures. I mean, there was only really 4 things. There was 4 things that I would identify of why homes didn't sell. And a lot of times it was bad photographs, because back then, you got to remember, this is before the iPhone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So people were taking crappy pictures. They really didn't care. And the reality was, if I'm a buyer, I want to go to, I might look at, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 homes, 12 homes, but there's thousands of homes on the market. So buying a home is a process of elimination.
Yep.
Okay. You got to eliminate all the ones you don't want to go see. And the house that I live in right now, I didn't want to come see it because it had crappy photos. And Josie was like, let's go see it. I said, no, it doesn't even look like something we would even like. Yeah. And I'm telling you, we love it. I mean, this is, but the photos were terrible. So just little things like that. I mean, sometimes it's just the littlest thing. But the reality is, you have to get people to know, like, and trust you. If you can't get to that point, you won't even have any at-bats. And you'll be at home wondering why the phone's not ringing. Well, how come people aren't calling me?
Yep. Good point. Excellent point. So from RE/MAX, where did you go?
So I got recruited. So when that report came out in Austin Business Journal that I was the #1 in the city, guess who's called me? Gary Keller's office.
Okay.
And they said, hey, Gary Keller wants to meet with you. Now, Gary, we both live in the same town, Austin, Texas.
Okay.
His house probably to my house is about 8 miles. Okay.
Wow.
Much nicer neighborhood, by the way. but it was about 8 miles from my house to his office. And they said, hey, Gary wants to meet with you. And I said, nah, I'm not. I told Josie, I said, should I meet with him? Because I loved RE/MAX. I mean, with all uppercase love. Yeah. And I love my broker more than anything, not the brand, but I love the broker.
Yeah.
My broker, Mark Minshew, he thought like an attorney. Like that guy was incredible. And so anyway, he's still incredible. So when Gary's office called, I knew it was like a recruiting call,
Yeah.
and I told Josie, I said, no, I don't think. She said, you're going to go meet with him. I said, no, I'm not sure I want to. She said, you're going to go meet with him. For nothing else, but it's a connection,
Yeah, for
what's
sure.
the So I went and met with Gary. That was in December of '08. And it was a 30-minute meeting, ended up being 2 hours. Okay.
Wow.
And we just hit it off. And he asked me a pivotal question, because at that point I was torn between, do I stay at Remax or do I start Knolly Realty? Because I'd gotten my broker's license, which you'll appreciate this, took 900 hours to get the broker license. 900 hours. Okay.
Wow.
That's Texas. Now, to get your real estate license, it was like 4 classes. So it was like 120 hours, but broker 900. And so you could use some college hours, like 270 of those, but the rest had to be straight up courses.
Wow.
And so, so I had done that, took my broker's exam, passed. I was a broker. And so I told Gary, I said, man, I'm going to be a broker, dude. What's next stop for me is Knolly Realty. He said, yeah, but where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? And I said, well, I'm going to be teaching, training, and giving back. Those 3 things. So he wrote it down: teaching, training, giving back. And he tore off the paper and he gave it to me. I still have it to this day.
Wow.
In his writing. And he said, you're going to be doing that in 3 to 5 years. I said, yeah, about 3 to 5 years. I should be at the point where I can start working on that. He says, why don't you start today? I said, today? Like, that's dumb. I didn't tell him that, but I'm saying, that's a process. You can't.
Right.
He says, but if you were at Keller Williams, you could be doing that tomorrow. I said, tomorrow. Wow. I said, tell me how that works. So he started telling me. He called up Diana Kokoska, who was running MAPS coaching. And she got an interview with me the next day. She said, yeah, we can meet tomorrow. And he said, she'll hire you on the spot. I said, I could be a coach tomorrow. I'd have to wait 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
And this is what, Carol, a lot of agents don't understand or believe, that where they see themselves, they could actually get to a lot faster than they think. So anyway, I needless to say, I mean, it was a big opportunity. So I went to my broker and he says, man, he said, I can't top that, dude. You're going to be a trainer and everything. That's what you've always been wanting to do.
Right.
And he just wished me success. And that's where I joined Keller Williams. And I was there for 10 years. And I didn't just I wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid. I had it on IV drip.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was mainlined. I was Keller Williams for life. That was it.
So if you were so in love with Keller Williams and being able to teach, and you've been teaching nationally, probably even internationally, why did you make a move? I think it was 2018 when you made a move. Why did you make a move again?
So when my friends reached out to me and started talking to me about EXP, I didn't want to hear it. My sponsor, Kevin Kaufman, and his business partner, Fred Weaver, they kept reaching out, and it was really Fred that was reaching out even more. And he kept sending me this video to watch. I was like, man, I'm not watching no video, dude. I'm good. I'm not moving anywhere. And I could reach out to Gary Keller directly. I was in his inner circle. He had personally recruited me. I mean, I was good. So, and plus, not only that, Carol, but I had spoken in over 100 market centers for Keller Williams. Done seminars. I was on the seminar circuit. Yeah. And every time I would go into a market center, they would put on an event. It was called Success with Listings. I had over 100 people in attendance, usually. Wow. Not all of them were, but some were a lot bigger than that. And I had a product that I would sell, a toolkit for $1,000, where you could basically take all the stuff I had created to be a success. I call it my overnight celebrity success toolkit. And it was $1,000. And I was selling 30% of the room. So just think about it.
Wow, that's huge.
When I walk in, it's 100 people. I know 30 of them are going to walk out with my toolkit. Okay. So I'm making $30,000 every time I step into an office, and I was doing 2 or 3 of those a month. Okay. For a while there. And I had Gary Keller's personal endorsement, like, yeah, bring Knolly to your office. He wrote the forward to my book. and everything. So,
Oh, wow.
so to leave that behind, it wasn't even something I would consider
Hmm.
until finally Fred said, man, just as a favor to me, man, and I was like, okay, I'll watch your stinking video just so I can give it 2 thumbs down, because I already gave
Yeah.
it a thumbs down.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, when I saw the model, a lot of people don't want to see the model because I don't know why, but they just don't. But when I saw it, I said, wait a minute, this can't even be possible.
Yeah.
There's not another real estate. There's not a company that could even offer this. It's not even possible. And that's why when people come to me now and they say, man, I'm on 100% commission, I say, well, why would you settle for 100%? That's crazy. Here you can icon and that's get you 100%. Plus you got revenue share, which I
Yep.
mean, this year I'm going to pay EXP 16,000. They're going to pay me $250,000.
Wow.
Okay. That's my
Wow.
unfair share. So when I looked at the model, it was like to me, it was the first opportunity that I had to be able to now provide everything that I've been giving away, like selling
Right.
and hustling, to just say, hey, I can just give this away for free. If somebody partners with Carol, guess what? They get it. They get
Yeah.
everything, all my goodies for free. So I just saw it as a superior model, and I saw it as the future. You gotta think back to, for me, in 1982, I was 12 years old. I'm 52 now. So I was 12 years old, and I was taking computer programming classes back then. So
Okay.
I've watched the industry of technology continue to increase to the point where, I didn't see the iPhone coming. I didn't see digital music coming. But when I saw EXP, I said, wait a minute, this is the future. It's already here. And either I'm going to adopt today or I'm going to adopt in 5 years, or it's going to happen.
Right.
So, I could not be in integrity and stay where I was, knowing
Wow.
what I knew, if that
Wow.
makes sense.
So tell me about the weekend. I've heard you say this before. You watched the video and then you just like took a few days and you just like dived into everything. And at the end of that, you couldn't unsee what you had learned.
Yeah,
Tell
well,
me
it
about
took
that.
me 100 days. It was 100
100 days.
days.
Okay.
So I did 100 days of research. So I'm very analytical, and I don't like to make mistakes if I can
Yep.
avoid it. So I use a lot of techniques to actually not make mistakes in business. I use kinesiology, applied kinesiology. I pray. I get the counsel of others, as Scripture says, and I talk to a lot of people. Plus, I do a lot of research. So I'm high on the CS scale. I'm an SC mostly.
Okay.
On the disc. So I'm a very analytical. They say I should have been an engineer, is what I test out as. So I wanted to do a lot of research on it to see, like, is it sustainable? Is it going to implode? Is it going to be longevity? Is it going to be, okay, some people have left EXP. Why did they leave? I talked to people that left. I mean, I did all the research I could.
Wow.
And I just couldn't, I mean, I poked holes until there was no holes to poke. And it was basically the real deal, and so I had to either be out of integrity and stay at Keller Williams, which I loved, I left in love with the company that I was leaving. I was still in love with it, but once I knew that there was this, I couldn't look my family in the face, my wife in the face. I couldn't look even my all the people that I was selling my products to, knowing that there was another model where they could actually get it for free, and I wasn't even going to be part of that, so that I could just do in my opinion, the right thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't live with myself if I didn't join, to be honest with you, so that's what I did. And I got to tell you, I mean, yesterday was January, whenever this releases, it comes out when it comes out. But I'll say this, yesterday was 4 years, my 4-year anniversary yesterday.
Okay.
That's a college degree.
That's
right
awesome. Wow. Wow.
So I've graduated.
That is awesome. So as I'm working with other agents and just helping mentor them, as well as just showing them the model, talk to me a little bit about your program Mentorship Masters, what that offers, what that provides, and how everybody that comes into the organization with me actually has access to that because you're my sponsor.
So I have a new book coming out later this year called 3 Hours a Day. And that's,
Okay.
It's on McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill picked me up as an author.
Nice.
I remember reading McGraw-Hill when I was in school, and I didn't like to study. So it was McGraw-Hill. I was like, okay, cool. McGraw-Hill, they're good in my book now that I like to study. But if there was a point where I didn't like them, I'd just say that. But anyway, this what I teach is how to make $250,000 or more a year working 3 hours a day. That's the core of what I teach. It's ultimate efficiency. I use a lot of systems. I use a lot of tools and techniques, tactics, and training. And so we have such a list of goodies that comes with it. It's not only my complete toolkit, it's hundreds and hundreds of hours of training that I've compiled together to help you become wealthy. You get a whole portal, access to that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you want to create a team, I teach you how to build a team. Myself, Kevin Kaufman, and Fred Weaver, they have a team, 30 agents. They still sell 300 to 400 homes a year. And we have a whole curriculum for that. We teach you, if you want to become a coach, we'll teach you how to become a coach. You want to start selling products like I do, we teach you how to do that. You want to become a seminar guy, speaker, we have a course that teaches you that. There's so many other things, but the big thing that we teach, the most important in my book, is how to become a listing specialist, like how to dominate the listing game in your market. I took 1,000 listings my first 10 years in the business. And I basically took everything that I've done, all the forms, all the workbooks, all the sheets, all the scripts, everything. And I've compiled that and I make it available. And then of course it comes with every single week, we get together on a weekly coaching call. And then we have other calls, like if you want to do recruiting or you want to do agent attraction, we have a call for that. And every week with Kevin and Fred. And then there's a bunch of other stuff. I mean, it's along with everything that EXP offers already, which is incredible. So yeah, it's quite a list of items that come with it. We have a whole site that kind of educates you. And I think you have a site as well, Carol, that.
Yes, I do. Yep. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was great information. I can't wait to share it with the masses because you are such an icon and such a servant heart. And I just love that about you. And I appreciate you and Josie and all of your support. And thank you for this time. And yeah, I look forward to our next time together.
Thank you, Carol. God bless you. Love you.
Yep, you too. Bye.